Alright folks, I thought I'd put together a little screencast here to show you how or what this OBS can do. It's going to look a little crazy because anytime you're trying to screencast something that screencasts, it gives you this kind of echo effect. But this is a pretty powerful tool. I can do all sorts of things. I can screencast using video like I am here, audio. I can screencast just my screens, and there's plenty of ways to do that. So let me move myself over a little bit. So when you download OBS, you'll open it up. You're not going to see anything at first, but what you can do, if you see my mouse over here, and again, this is what I mean by this kind of echo effect that you get. It's because OBS is trying to screencast itself, so it's seeing itself just like as if you would try to video in a mirror, right? So that's what's happening here, and I'll clear this up in a second. But what you can do is you can use individual scenes. So individual scenes would be things like if you wanted to do a live stream, for instance, and so in the live stream you wanted to say you were starting soon, so you could include something like this, and there's animations and things you can do with this as well. If you wanted to do a lecture like I like to do, so you could just put a lecture here, and then within each scene you have sources that you can add. So for instance, this video capture device here, that's the webcam that I'm currently using. And so I can turn it on or off, either or. I can also resize it to whatever size I want, and I can move it around to wherever I want. I can select which screen that I want to cast. So for instance, if I want to change and pick a different screen, I can go to display capture, and then I can just call this whatever, maybe screen 1, right, depending on how you have your screens numbered, right? And so then I can pick. And so since I have 3 screens, it's going to give me the option to pick whichever one. And so if that's the one I want it to be, there it is. And so now this is a screen where I have a microbiology lecture up, right? And so I can also turn that screen on and off, depending on what I want to do. So if I have multiple screens and I have several things that I want to show students, then I can do that. What I typically do, because I have 3 screens, what you're seeing here, I usually move this over on the screen that I don't want to cast, right? And so once it's moved over there, so you'll notice now that it doesn't have the same kind of reflective effect. It still has me up in the corner. I can still switch between screens, right? So I can go to that one, which I have labeled as screen 1, or I can turn it off and go back to this screen. So there's plenty of things I can do here. I can work through PowerPoints, right? So if I want to show this as I would in class, although I typically don't like to do it this way, but I could just work through them individually, while I also maybe still show myself up here. That's certainly an option, but there's plenty of things you can do with this. This just scratches the surface. It's free. It's robust. There's all sorts of things you can do with it. You can live stream with this straight into YouTube or Facebook at the same time even. So plenty of things you can do with it, just as kind of an FYI. Again, there is a bit of a learning curve with it, so you have to be careful of that a little bit. But other than that, it's served me quite well. This was created mostly for gamers, and then folks have kind of taken it over, but I use it to stream some of my iRacing and things like that too. But it's again, it's quite useful, very robust, all sorts of things you can do with it. So maybe give it a shot.